With the recent release of the PlayStation Portal, there's been a ton of folks commenting about stream quality and the viability of game streaming overall. Most of the time, that comes from folks reporting poor quality streams or hyperbolizing small dips to performance. And hey, I get it. Some folks are in a position where their home network is just not viable for streaming due to factors outside their control. I grew up on a farm. I didn't have reliable home internet until I left for undergrad. And there are plenty of folks living in the rural United States right now still struggling with that situation. I see y'all out there, and I totally get it. For folks living in the United States who are in large metro areas, like me here in Chicago, or countries where reliable internet is viable, I do get the vibe that poor streaming quality is more of an optimization issue than a lack of resources though. So let's take a moment to pause and go over some basic setup details for streaming that you might want to follow. To illustrate this, for right now, I'm going to use the context of streaming from a PS5 using PlayStation Remote Play, just because I'm working on other videos using that. But the same information is true regardless of if you're streaming from a PS5, PS4, Xbox, or home computer via Steam Link. Okay, first up, let's start with the most basic thing you should be doing if you plan to stream from a device. Plug that device directly into a router. A wired connection will ensure that your streaming experience starts out on the best, most reliable footing and should be used whenever possible. For my setup, I have my PS5 connected to a standalone Wi-Fi 6 router with a Cat5e cable and have never had issues streaming from it. If a wired connection isn't possible for your specific setup, make sure to at least use a 5 GHz Wi-Fi channel. Just keep in mind that Wi-Fi may experience greater fluctuations in signal quality and reliability based on other wireless devices on your home network, and interference from physical devices around your home. From personal experience, wired connections tend to experience less drop in quality over time, while also being able to use faster data transfer speeds overall. If you use Wi-Fi at this step, you should do so with the expectation that you may not get the absolute best experience. With your system at home set up for success, now comes the question of how to best connect the device you're streaming to. For demonstration, I'm going to use a Galaxy S20 Plus as an example to make things easy. In general, where available, you'll want to connect your device to at least a 5 GHz Wi-Fi channel. Overall, it'll have greater bandwidth than a 2.4 GHz connection and result in a more stable connection over time. Additionally, decreasing the physical distance between your device, your system, and your router will generally result in less latency while you're streaming, because the data needs to physically travel a shorter distance to have the device communicate with each other. At home, I only use the 5 GHz band on my router, and typically stream games in the same room as my router. To further reduce network degradation issues, I have multiple access points set up in my home to connect to whichever is the closest at the moment. My home setup tends to be pretty much ideal for streaming, but I've gotten away with using setups a lot worse in the past. Away from home, it's more so a matter of whichever Wi-Fi hotspot is convenient, or if I can get a solid 5G signal wherever I'm at. At a public Wi-Fi hotspot, the number of people I see connected is a good indicator as to expected stream quality. Meanwhile, for 5G, it's a matter of how many objects around me can obstruct my signal to a tower. I've had good and bad experiences with both. In environments where I have less control over my network, luck can also be a determining factor. To increase your luck in these circumstances, make sure to set yourself up for success by preemptively limiting the quality of your stream. Many streaming services will readily give you the option to stream at 4K or 120 frames per second, but avoid using those options unless you're at home and ready to fiddle with settings even more to get desired results. Personally, I tend to stick with SDR streams at 1080p or 720p with up to 60 frames per second. On many streaming services, this is easy enough to set in the app's settings. It might also mean going into a game settings and dialing settings down as needed. For my PS5 example, that typically means setting games to performance mode, which generally target 1080p or 1440p at 60 frames per second. Don't be afraid to experiment though. I would peg 1080p 60 as ideal for streaming across most services, but there's no reason you couldn't crank all settings to max and see what breaks first, and then work backwards from there by selectively dialing down specific settings. The most important thing is to set your expectations appropriately and not panic if something doesn't immediately work. Given the current state of wireless networking, there's only so much quality you can pack into a stream before it becomes unstable. If you expect going in that you'll likely need to lower your quality to increase stability, it'll make your experience a lot less stressful and help you focus in on actually solving the problem instead of getting angry about it. Finally, notice how I haven't brought up connection speed yet for any of this. That's basically because it's almost a non-factor. Bandwidth and reliability tend to matter most when streaming games. Meanwhile, connection speed is either something that meets requirements or doesn't meet requirements. For example, Sony recommends speeds of 15 megabits per second to stream PS5 games. Higher download and upload speeds than that will make communications between my phone and PS5 faster, but low speeds below a certain point will only make my stream unplayable. During my recent testing of the PlayStation Portal and the Remote Play app, my lowest recorded speeds with solid streaming performance sat around 33 megabits per second down and 17 megabits per second up on a random coffee shop's Wi-Fi. Below that, at a different coffee shop, the stream noticeably fell apart. Above that, once I had gotten to about 100 megabits per second down in particular, there hadn't been any noticeable improvement to stream quality, even over 5G. At certain speeds, everything just works, and it doesn't matter how fast your internet connection can go. Most of the time, that's going to be a good thing, considering I can get away with streaming on even lackluster public networks. A minority of the time, it also works against me, because a stream will just not work, and requires that I mess with a bunch of settings to diagnose the issue. Steam Link in particular has historically been tricky to work with for me. In general, I'd say before connecting your device, particularly when using public networks, doing a network speed test might help to set expectations. Additionally, after your stream, comparing those results to prior speed tests to see what is and what isn't working on your personal setup might help set up your own personal boundaries for where you know streaming will actually be feasible. Alright, to summarize these connection recommendations. 1. Always use a wired connection for the device you're streaming from. 2. Connect the device you're streaming to a 5 GHz Wi-Fi channel where possible, or at least a low congestion network when not possible. 3. Lower resolutions will result in better quality streams. And then 4. Bandwidth and reliability are more important than network speeds. If you can meet the speed requirements for your streaming service, you can likely stream games without issue if your network is reliable enough. If you follow these recommendations, you should be able to set yourself up for success and stream to any service without too much issue. However, if you're following all these recommendations and still things just aren't working, the remaining problem could either be that your networking hardware or internet plan needs to be upgraded, or that the application you're using is just an unoptimized mess. The hardware issue is a bit more personal to your specific setup, and I'm going to leave those sorts of recommendations to folks more knowledgeable about networking overall than I am. But I do have some suggestions on how to start troubleshooting your software. One of the first things I might recommend is to try a different kind of app. If PlayStation Remote Play is not working, see if you can use Steam Link to stream from a computer to your phone using the same setup. It might sound counterintuitive at first, but attempting to stream in different ways can communicate whether or not the problem is actually your network or some weird app optimization issue. Cloud streaming apps like GeForce Now, in particular, can be really useful tools to see if the network you're on even has suitable bandwidth to stream a game to a device from a remote source, which that might be useful to find out if you're trying to determine whether the bottleneck is the device you're streaming from or the device you're streaming to. Likewise, you can see if there's a different third-party application available that can accomplish the same task as the software that's not working. For PlayStation Remote Play, that might mean trying out either PS Play or Chiaki instead of the official Remote Play app. Meanwhile, for Steam Link, that might mean something more like Moonlight. In general, third-party solutions are built to have more features, versatility, and fine-tuning options than their official app counterparts, due to them being built by community members who heavily use each of the services. The downside, and the reason why I would consider them my secondary option, is that they're often more involved to set up, designed with power users in mind, and might overwhelm folks who just want the easiest streaming solution available. Still, definitely consider them a resource if the official apps let you down. If all else fails, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're experiencing an issue with a streaming app, it's likely that someone else is experiencing the same issue, or at least has in the past. I'd recommend searching Google with a description of your issue. Most of the time, if I'm having troubles, searching for someone else's question that was previously asked on Reddit or a similar site tends to lead me to a solution. If you can't find anything there, it's perfectly fine to find a friend, relevant message board, or subreddit to see if there's anyone who's had the same issue in the past. Heck, you can even comment down below. I don't know everything, but I will try my best to help if it's within my wheelhouse. But yeah, I think that's about all I have as far as recommendations go. If you have additional constructive recommendations for folks interested in streaming games, leave a comment down below for others to see. Additionally, if you found this video helpful at all, go ahead and give it a like to let me know. And then get subscribed for additional streaming related videos in the near future. I've created more than a few guides along these same topics, including one that uses Steam Link to enable wireless dual screen emulation on just about any device. I'll leave some links in the video description in case you're interested. But that's going to be all for this video. Best of luck with your game streaming, and until next time, catch you later.